I was 68 years old when I learned that sometimes the people you trust most can break you in ways no stranger ever could. The house I built my life was simple. For 35 years, I worked as a clerk in a government office. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. Every rupee I saved went toward building a home for my family. Brick by brick, sacrifice after sacrifice, the house took shape. It wasn't a mansion, but to me, it was a palace. I can still remember the day we first stepped inside. My wife, God rest her soul, walked into the kitchen with tears in her eyes. My little daughter Amelia, only 8 years old then, ran up the stairs shouting, "Baba, this is our house? It's so big." That memory kept me going through every hardship. When my wife passed away years later, the house became my companion. The walls echoed with her laughter. The garden still smelled of her roses. My daughter was all I had left, and every time I looked at her, I felt I hadn't lived in vain. One evening, Amelia and her husband came to visit. She served me tea and said gently, "Baba, you've done so much for me already, but you're getting older. What if something happens suddenly? The paperwork of the house will become messy. Why don't you transfer it to me now? That way I can take care of everything." I looked at her with pride. Such a responsible daughter, I thought. Her husband nodded. "Yes, uncle. It's just a formality. You'll always live here. It's your home. But legally, it will be easier if the house is in Amelia's name." Without hesitation, I signed the papers. My only thought was, this will make my daughter's life easier. Isn't that what a father should do? For a while, nothing seemed different. But slowly, little things began to shift. "Baba, why do you always leave the light on?" "Electricity is expensive." "Baba, can't you eat in your room instead of the dining table?" "We need space." "Baba, why don't you spend some days with your relatives?" The house feels crowded. Each word felt like a stone placed on my chest. I told myself she was just stressed, that she didn't mean it. But deep inside, I knew something was changing. Then one morning it happened. There was a loud knock at the door. I opened it and found a man in uniform holding papers. "Are you Mr. Liam?" "Yes." "You've been served. According to this, you are to vacate this property within 7 days." I stared at him in confusion. "Vacate? This is my house." He looked at me with pity. "No, sir. Legally, this house belongs to your daughter now. She has filed for eviction." My heart stopped. My own daughter? I turned to Amelia. She stood behind her husband, arms crossed. "Amelia, tell him this is a mistake. You didn't do this, right?" She lowered her eyes. Her husband spoke instead. "Baba, it's time you understood. This house is ours now. You need to leave. We'll arrange a small rented place for you." Tears filled my eyes. I built this house for you, for your mother, for our family. Her only reply was silence. I went to court, still hoping the judge would see reason. Surely the law would protect a father. But the lawyer held up the signed documents. My signature was clear. The house was legally hers. The judge looked at me kindly but firmly. "Sir, I understand your pain, but the law is clear. You willingly transferred ownership. She has the right to evict you." I felt the ground disappear beneath me. I looked at my daughter sitting there. She avoided my gaze. I whispered, "Amelia, you're my blood. How can you do this to me?" Her husband put an arm around her shoulders and said loudly, "She's just doing what's best for her family." The judge banged the gavel. "You have 7 days to vacate." That night, I walked through every corner of the house, touching the walls like they were old friends. The veranda where my wife used to sit with her tea, the staircase where my daughter once slid down laughing, the garden where I planted every tree with my own hands. I whispered to the empty rooms, "Forgive me. I couldn't protect you." The next morning I left with just a small bag, a few clothes, and a photograph of my wife holding Amelia as a child. As I walked out, the neighbors gathered. One old woman shook her head. "What kind of daughter does this?" Another man muttered, "The world has changed. Parents build houses, children throw them out." I kept my head low. I didn't want their pity. Now I live in a single rented room near the bazaar. The walls are damp. The ceiling leaks when it rains. But it is mine. No one can evict me here. Every morning I pass by my old house. The lights shine warmly. Voices echo inside, but I no longer belong. Sometimes I see my daughter at the window. Our eyes meet for a second before she closes the curtain. People ask me, "Do you regret giving her the house?" I smile bitterly. No, I don't regret giving her the house. I regret believing that a house without love can still be a home. Because in the end, walls of stone can't protect you. Only hearts filled with love can. And when that love dies, even the grandest house becomes nothing more than an empty shell. One day, I believe, my daughter will understand. And when she does, it will be too late.